Let's talk about the new Halloween Ends test screening. How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champane, and if you like monsters, slashers, pretty much any movie shot during, set during, or inspired by the 1980s, this is the channel for you. We've got some updates on Corey Cunningham and who this character is in relation to Halloween Ends story, and also there was another test screening for Halloween Ends, and this time it was open to the public. You could sign up and get an invite, but the difference between this test screening and the other one is apparently they only showed one version of the movie, and also they called it Halloween Ends instead of Cave Dweller. So people knew what they were signing up for this time around. We're going to jump into all of this in just a second, but before we do, I wanted to let you guys know I'll be at the Midsummer Scream Convention down in Long Beach, California this Saturday, July 30th. I'll be there pretty much all day, so if you see me, make sure you stop me and say hello. And also, guys, it would really help me out if you help me get to 50,000 subscribers. I am so close, so if you're a new viewer or someone who's been around for a while and you just haven't clicked that subscribe button, it would really help me out if you clicked it and set your notifications to all. And maybe check out my Twitter too while you're at it. All right, so let's talk about Corey Cunningham real quick. So I did a video right after the trailer dropped. You guys probably saw that. And then I did another video with my updated theories and things I missed in that trailer. Both videos did amazing. Thank you guys so much for checking them out. But since then, I've done the Hollow stream with my friends Dave McCrae, Drum Dums, We Watched a Movie, and Wolfman's Got Nards. And we got to talking about some stuff related to Halloween Ends, and it got me thinking about some of my theories, and of course, they have evolved. So specifically with Corey Cunningham, first of all, I thought he was going to be a sort of Eddie Munson character, just based on the description of the movie, where he was going to get framed for a murder of a kid he was babysitting. The whole town of Haddonfield might go after him, like in Halloween Kills. Maybe even Laurie shoots him and kills him at the beginning of the movie in that scene we saw in the trailer. But yeah, since then, my theory has evolved a little bit. Because something I was reminded of is that David Gordon Green went to John Carpenter with the script for this movie before they even shot it and asked John Carpenter if it was too Christine. Now, I actually just last week went and saw Christine in the movie theater, and it was an awesome experience. It wasn't like one of those Fathom events where they use a shitty DVD transfer or anything like that. It was a really nice, clean copy of Christine. But now that Christine is fresh in my mind, my theory has evolved, and I think I've kind of figured out who this Corey Cunningham character is going to be. And this also ties in, I think, to what Jamie Lee Curtis has been talking about, saying it might piss fans off, it's going to be divisive, it will quote unquote you up, you know, all the stuff she loves to say. I'm gonna tell you guys straight up, don't put a lot of stock into stuff she says about these movies. Like, we have heard tons and tons of stuff from Jamie Lee Curtis about all three of these Halloween movies, and I think she's like 2 for 3 so far, potentially 3 for 3 on just saying stuff that doesn't actually, you know, make sense with the movie. So, you know, don't put too much stock into what she's saying, put more stock into this movie being like Christine. So first of all, I can't believe it took me this long to realize that Corey Cunningham is named Corey Cunningham and the main character in Christine is named Arnie Cunningham. Like, that's crazy that the connection is there. And it's funny that you have a character in this movie with the last name of Cunningham, and David Gordon Green had to go ask John Carpenter if it was too much like Christine. But apparently John Carpenter said it wasn't and gave him the go-ahead. But knowing that we have a character named Corey Cunningham, we know that this movie is also inspired by Christine in some way. What if Corey Cunningham is sort of worshiping at the altar of Michael Myers? You know, it sounds a little crazy, but it really makes sense just based on what we've heard about the movie so far. All of Haddonfield knows about Michael Myers. They know what kind of like evil he is, the force he is to be reckoned with, because he murdered so many people on Halloween night in 2018, and he has not been seen since. So in that 4-year gap, it would make a lot of sense for a character like Corey Cunningham, who's been stuck inside for at least part of it, maybe had some time to look up some conspiracy theories online, to sort of start worshiping Michael Myers and think he's like someone who needs to be emulated. So that could also sort of explain why Corey Cunningham picks up the Michael Myers costume and mask and goes into Laurie Strode's house, because we know someone is going to be an imposter Michael Myers in this movie. There's no doubt about it in my mind, between the character wearing rings, between the mask not being burned, between the costume not even fitting the character entirely all too well. I know there's some theories out there that the scene in which we saw Michael Myers attacking Laurie is a dream sequence Laurie is having. I don't think that's true at all. I don't know if it's true, but I'm like 99% sure that's not from a dream sequence, because if it was from a dream sequence, they would have digitally re-aged Jamie Lee Curtis to make her Laurie Strode from 1978. Like, if she was dreaming about fighting Michael in the costume that she was wearing in 1978, she would look like she did in 1978. She wouldn't be current day Laurie Strode. And also, Michael Myers would look like the flashback Michael Myers at the very least. Like, they have that costume basically just sitting around. They could have gone and used that, and they would have put it on the stunt actor who played Michael Myers in the 1978 flashback. So while I know there is a theory out there that this is a dream sequence, I gotta be honest and say I don't think there's enough here to really even guess that, and I definitely don't think there's enough to justify going all in on that theory. I think it's more than plausible and honestly much more believable that this character Corey Cunningham is going to worship Michael Myers and try to recreate his killings, because maybe they don't know that Michael Myers is still out there. Maybe they're just assuming that he died after the events of Halloween Kills, which honestly is a fair assumption if you look at all of the abuse he took over Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. Just because he disappeared doesn't mean he's still alive to a lot of these people. So Corey could be worshiping him. He could look at the fact that Michael killed a bunch of babysitters back in 1978 and put his own little twist on that by killing a kid he's babysitting while dressed as Michael. And that also would explain why he would ever go down into the sewers and find Michael Myers. If he heads down there and encounters Michael, it sort of explains why he looks absolutely terrified when Michael reaches out of the sewer and grabs his face. It seems like he's going down there with the intention of being like, look, Michael, I killed for you. I took up your mantle here. I made my own mask. I made my own costume. And Michael doesn't give a shit because he's not a human being. He doesn't care. He just wants to murder people on Halloween. And even though Corey Cunningham dressed up like him on Halloween, that doesn't mean one thing or the other to him. He sees a new victim standing in front of him and he's going to kill that character. And that, I think, is a good plot point because it's something that'll happen very early on in the movie. So Corey Cunningham will commit a murder dressed as Michael Myers. He'll go after Laurie Strode dressed as Michael Myers. I don't think Laurie is going to kill him. I think he'll be on the run and make his way into the sewers, encounter Michael Myers, and then the real Michael Myers will come back. Laurie will be like, I'm fighting this kid who's dressed up as Michael Myers. That's totally easy to deal with. And then she'll realize very quickly that no, she's dealing with the real Michael Myers. He's back on Halloween night. He's ready to kill even more people in Haddonfield, and then she'll have to go after him and have this final showdown that's being teased online. I mean, you probably seen the Instagram ad that's like a WWE promo. That's what my friend Jake Baldino told me when we were texting about it. He was like, this looks like a WWE promo. It says one of them will die, and it shows Laurie Strode with the, Halloween Ends fire behind her, and it shows Michael Myers. It's got this cool promotional look to it, and I don't think they're tricking us on that. I think we are going to see a showdown between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers in this movie, and I think what Jamie Lee Curtis is talking about, where it's going to piss fans off or whatever, I think maybe she genuinely thought people would be tricked by this imposter Michael Myers, but it is so obvious in the trailer that it's not the real Michael. And I don't know, they could just be playing it up for the marketing for normal people who don't watch these movies religiously like we do. That would make a lot of sense, because I can tell you right now, you could show this to like 19 different people, and the people who are Halloween fans, they would probably notice that the mask isn't burned, the costume doesn't fit, his hand isn't missing 2 fingers, he's not as dirty. But the other people in that group who just casually watch Halloween movies, they probably still think Halloween 2 is canon. There's no way they would notice that this is a completely different Michael Myers. They'd probably be like, man, they went ahead and got a new actor. I bet James Jude Courtney asked for too much money. But whatever they're paying James Jude Courtney, it is not enough. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this Corey Cunningham character. I'd love to hear what you're thinking down in the comments, obviously. Are you still thinking that that's a dream sequence in the trailer? Are you thinking that Corey Cunningham is going to be this Eddie Munson style character who's wrongly accused and then accidentally encounters Michael Myers and brings him out of hiding? Or are you on board with my new theory that Corey Cunningham is sort of a disciple of Michael who goes out and kills for him on Halloween night, only to realize that Michael Myers is literally the shape, does not give a fuck about someone killing in his image and name, and just comes out of hiding once he kills Corey Cunningham and gets more killing done on his own? That is definitely where I'm leaning now, but I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Next up, let's talk about Halloween Kills for just a second. So if you remember when the delay was announced, the sort of like consolation they gave us at the time was that it was being remastered by John Carpenter to have IMAX quality audio, and it would be showing in IMAX theaters once it finally released. Obviously, it didn't get that wide IMAX release that was initially promised, promised. It was kind of just stricken from the marketing. I think it was because of a movie that came out at the same time as Halloween Kills that was deemed to be bigger than Halloween Kills, but still it didn't end up getting a wide IMAX release, which at the time I was neither here nor there on. I saw it in Dolby. It looked amazing. The theater was sold out. Everyone had a great time watching the movie, but it looks like whatever agreement they made and then canceled kind of shifted forward instead of being full on canceled, because IMAX has confirmed that Halloween Ends will be shown in IMAX. So if you're one of those people who was really looking forward to the IMAX screenings of Halloween Kills and then you were disappointed that you weren't actually able to go see it in IMAX, it looks like this time around we're going to be able to do that with Halloween Ends. You know what would be really cool though? If IMAX was able to come up with some way to do a triple feature of all three of these movies, maybe even a quadruple feature. You start with Halloween 1978, then you go into Halloween 2018, then you have to watch Halloween Kills, and then before they show Halloween Ends, there's a bathroom break. You gotta have a bathroom break between those three movies, maybe even between 1978 and Kills. But I feel like 2018 and Kills, they should just cut out the credits in 2018 and go back to back, like stitch them together into one movie, and then yeah, again, you get that IMAX final screening of Halloween Ends. I'd also like to know if John Carpenter is going to be mastering the new score for this movie to be played in IMAX and be able to take advantage of that speaker system. We don't even know for sure if he's coming back and scoring it, but I would bet that he's going to come back and score this third chapter in the trilogy, because as far as we know at this point, this is totally the last Halloween movie. It's really going to end the franchise, and Jason Blum isn't just sitting there waiting to see how much money it makes so he can renegotiate a better deal for a whole new trilogy or something like that. And the third Halloween update I have for you guys today is of course around the test screening. So this one everyone thought was going to have a ton of spoilers leak out after it, because Blumhouse usually doesn't do too much vetting of who they let into these things. Obviously that's how a ton of Halloween Kills leaked before the movie came out. At that point it didn't really matter though, because the entire script had leaked. And this time around we've already had a screening of the movie where they showed two different cuts of Halloween Ends, and they let in a bunch of Halloween fans who did spoil some stuff. I've heard some things that all sounded pretty cool, but the update there, I've heard independently from my own source that one screening went really well. It had a lot of like clapping and cheering and people joining in on the fun of the movie, and the other one didn't go so well and had basically a completely different ending. Now that leaker viewer Anon, who you heard about here on the channel recently because they got tricked by that image of a custom figure that was Hobo Michael Myers that honestly looked a lot more like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, they said originally that they heard one ending got cheers and one ending did not go over so well, but as a whole, both screenings got just okay reception from fans. But as I just mentioned, I've heard from different sources who were at each of the screenings that one really did go over a lot better with the crowd than the other screening. Like one actually for sure had a muted sort of reaction from the crowd, but the other one throughout the entire thing had a really good reaction from the crowd. And this new test screening that they had in Las Vegas last night, this basically confirms that yeah, one version of this movie is doing really well with test audiences because it got a standing ovation from everything I've heard. Unfortunately, I can't verify which version was shown because I don't want spoilers from this movie, so I don't actually know what the differences are between the two versions that were shown at the last test screening, but because people who were there had basically tweeted out that the crowd was really into this screening, they had a ton of fun, they were cheering along with the movie, there was a standing ovation at the end, I'm assuming whatever cut did well at that original screening is the one that was shown at this one. And I don't really know how to take this, I'm just gonna give you my reaction, because with Halloween 2018, right, we had that initial test screening for the movie and it didn't do super well. It did well, but there was like a reaction to the ending where people were not so into it, so they went back and did reshoots and reworked the ending, and ultimately we got a better movie. Halloween Kills, on the other hand, during its test screening, I know for a fact that it was basically all hardcore Halloween fans because they went on Reddit and they spoiled the entire thing. They went on Twitter, they spoiled the entire thing. It was people who really wanted to see the new Halloween movie and then spoil it for everyone and just act big, right? They wanted to be like, oh, I got to see the test screening for the new Halloween and here's everything that happens in it. I'm gonna ruin it for everyone. That was kind of the attitude of those fans who saw it. So yeah, of course they had a vested interest in pretending it was the best Halloween movie of all time. But this time around, around, things are kind of happening more like Halloween 2018. They did a test screening, it didn't get amazing reactions, so they went back and reshot some parts of the movie, they reordered things in the movie, and then they made a new test screening, and that version apparently tested a lot better, with an audience that was not made up entirely of Halloween fans. Now, because the audience for this Las Vegas test screening was probably made up of a bunch of Halloween fans, we can't be sure, but because they put the work in here to really make a better movie, I'm willing to bet that this standing ovation was earned. And I'm still on the Halloween Ends positivity train. Honestly, I've been on it. I was never like even close to being off of it, but I guess you guys probably want to know how I'm feeling after this test screening. So yeah, based on the reactions I've seen, Universal and Blumhouse are doing everything right. Like I said in my other videos, they're doing test screenings, they're collecting feedback, they're making smart choices, they're even showing both versions of the movie to make sure that it wasn't a fluke the first time around when they showed it and got negative reactions. And now whatever version of the movie they have is testing in 2 different places of the country very well, both in New Jersey and in Las Vegas. Either way, I'm excited. I hope you are too. And again, I'll be at Midsummer Scream this Saturday pretty much all day. Come up and say hi if you see me there, and if you were kind of on the fence about going, I would say check it out. It's a really cool convention. I had a lot of fun the other years I went. I've actually been going since I think like 2017 or 2018. It's a ton of fun. Can't recommend it enough. Hopefully I'll see you there. And as always, my name is Jimmy Champane, and I'll see you in the next one. Shape on.